Welcome back to the workshop. This is Tim for Tim Krause Electronics, and this is the cheap versus expensive distortion pedal build, part 2. If you've been watching this channel, you probably already saw the last video I posted where I did the screen printing for the enclosures we're using for this build. Now, I ran into some trouble with that. It was definitely a little bit more challenging than I expected, and as I mentioned in that video, it's a lot different than screen printing on t-shirts. But I did get some pretty decent results, not perfect, but for my first attempt, not bad. Since then, I have clear coated those enclosures because the ink didn't quite set right. If you want to know more about that, go back and watch the video that I posted about that. So now I'm ready to continue with this build. The next thing I need to do is drill the holes in the enclosures, and then I'm going to test fit some components and see how much room I have to work with for that input board. Okay, got the holes drilled. Got the silver one and green one, and I've test fit some of the pots and the switch here, and actually the circuit board is in here right now. So it looks like I've got plenty of room for that extra circuit board. So let's get working on that. Okay, these input boards are done now, and as with the rest of the circuit, one of them has a BC108 transistor and a tropical fish cap. The other one has a 2N5088 transistor and just a regular red film cap. So now I'm going to go ahead and install those and get the wiring done between these two boards, wire up the power jack, the switch, everything else like that. Okay, it's been a couple of weeks since I was able to record any new clips for this. I had a lot of trouble getting these pedals to work. One of the problems that I kept facing was the quality of these circuit boards. Whoever designed these circuit boards didn't take into account the amount of vibration that a PA head is naturally going to take. There were a lot of broken traces and lifted pads and things like that, so I spent a lot of time troubleshooting various issues in this, and then add to that the mistakes that I made. The other problem that I ran into with this is that when you switch in the germanium diodes, it was barely even audible with the volume turned all the way up. When you put a germanium diode in the feedback loop of a transistor, because the forward voltage drop is so low, it's basically like one step above a dead short across the the base and collector of the transistor. So it knocks the output of that transistor down to almost nothing. In most circuits that's okay because you've still got enough output left, but in this case we were further dropping the signal strength because of the James tone stack that's in here. Now normally you'd have an insertion loss of well over 20 decibels, which is a lot. But in this case, because I had to change some of the components to move the center frequency around, it dropped it even more. So I thought that I had a problem with the circuit, and I spent all kinds of time tracing that down, finally figured out what was going on. And so the recovery stage after the tone controls, which was originally a JFET, that didn't have enough gain. I had to switch that out for a bipolar transistor, which meant adding an extra blocking capacitor, an extra biasing resistor. It's still below unity gain when I'm on a low gain setting, but for most settings it's loud enough. So anyway, it's working now. One of these has all of the expensive vintage components in it, and the other one has the regular off-the-shelf components. I'm not going to tell you which is which. If you're paying attention, you'll probably figure it out on your own. But I'm not real concerned about any kind of placebo affecting the results of this test. I'm not going to give it away either. So here's the clean sound. Now first let's go to the silicon diode setting, and I've got the controls set identical on both of these pedals. We'll start with the silver one. This is with the gain all the way up. One of the things I've noticed that's interesting is the green one is actually a little bit noisier than the silver one. I'll turn the volume on my guitar all the way down. This is just the self noise from the pedal. There's the green. So, not sure why it's noisier, but it is. Okay, so back to the silver one here. So one of the things you'll probably notice right off the bat is that the green one has a little bit more low mids, and the silver one has a little bit more top end. So I'm going to set the controls here so that they're a little closer to each other. I'm going to try to get them to sound as close as possible. So here's the silver one again. Alright, let me switch to the Les Paul. Okay, here's the silver one with the Les Paul. I'm still hearing a difference between these two. I've got them set pretty close, but to me it feels like the green one still just has, I mean, I've got the bass turned up on the silver one, but the green one still has a little bit more of a low-mid punch to it that I just can't dial in with the silver one. Let's try some lower gain settings here. I'm going to turn the gain down to about, we'll do 4. That'll still give us plenty of gain. And we'll start with the green one. I'm going to turn the treble up a bit here. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the germanium side now, which means I'm going to have to turn the volume up. I'm going to go all the way up on the gain again to start. So here's the green one with germanium diodes. Here's the gain down at 3. Okay, let's switch to the Strat. Start with the green one, still in the same low gain setting. And I'm going to turn the bass way up here. See if we can get the silver one to sound a little closer. Well, I don't know if you were hearing the same things that I was hearing. You know, it's not a $1,000 microphone, it's just a $100 microphone, so it's not going to pick up all the little details. To my ears, no matter where I had them dialed in, I could always get a better sound out of the green one. It just, there was a natural warmth to it that I couldn't match with the silver one. I heard the greatest difference when it was in the silicon diode setting. The germanium was pretty close to my ears, still better in the green one. And I think some of that could be corrected if I were to put in, you know, a bandpass filter and just give it a little bit of low-mid bump, maybe add some high-frequency filtering to it. I don't think I have to complicate the circuit too much in order to get it to be pretty darn close. I don't know, it's a tough call, because without making any changes to the circuit, at this point I would say absolutely the green one wins. But I know that I could squeeze a little bit more tone out of the silver one if I wanted to. I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to do this again with a different circuit, because in a lower gain pedal, in something maybe a simpler circuit, I think you'd hear probably a bigger difference. I've built circuits in the past where I tested the difference between these two germanium diode types, and I heard a bigger difference than I'm hearing today. So I definitely want to do this same test again with a different circuit, because I think that's going to make a big difference. But as far as this circuit goes, I don't know if I would be willing to pay the extra cost for those components, because it's just not a big enough difference. Yeah, when you've got the bass and treble controls set identically on both pedals, there's a big difference there. But, you know, just dialing in the tone controls gets you pretty close, and again, add in a little bit of a bandpass filter and you're pretty much there. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you hear a difference between the two? If you did, is it better or is it just different? Was there a clear winner to you? Please let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video, where we are going to swap out the two N5088s for BC109s and see if that levels the playing field a bit. We'll see you then.